I come into this class under the impression that I knew everything about African American art and African American literature. By the second class period, I knew nothing. Nothing. My jaw literally dropped. Dr. Benson was able to go into the books and just pull out information that my ancestors had left. She pulled out expressions. She showed us how they were feeling and what they were thinking during those times. There's a particular lesson that we learned in the book about vernacular. Coming up to school, I was always taught, you don't speak like that. You don't talk like that. That's ghetto, or that's not good enough. That's not proper English. That's not what you do. I kept that information for myself. I try to revitalize how I speak. I wouldn't speak like the people in my community. I've always tried to, speak to a point to where, everybody can understand where I'm coming from. It wasn't until I got to this class and I learned the identity of speech. I learned the common communication of speech in African American community. We have a very unique way of getting things across to one another, whether it's verbal, whether it's visual. However, we have this way within our own selves on how we communicate to one another that is different from any other human race in this world or on this earth. I went on to say that in reading How to Write a Letter, the father asked the daughter that had been gone away for 7 years, S-E-V-E-N, but that's not how he spelled it. He said S-E-B-E-N. That's what he said, S-E-B-E-N. So she understood what he was talking about. But if anybody from the outside or on the outside of their community, they would have thought that here goes another illiterate man. He don't even know how to speak proper English. But yet, that person would be wrong because he's speaking in his own vernacular. He's speaking in a way to where his daughter understood everything he had to say. He may have not been able to write the letter, but that doesn't mean that he's ignorant, or it doesn't mean that he's not smart enough to articulate what it is that he wants to say. It's just he's saying it in a different way. Another thing I want to talk about is the black art or the Negro art hokum. Dr. Benson raised a question in the class one day. Can anybody tell if an African American or a European created this picture or created this art? I'm like, oh, yeah, me. You could tell if a black person or if a white person has created art because of the way the colors is or the way the scenery is. It's just going to look different. Some of my classmates didn't agree with that. Some of them just kept quiet. I'm gung-ho about it because I believe what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is right. But what I was saying was actually wrong. When Dr. Benson took us to the internet, she showed us pictures from early art where African Americans had created it. And you could not tell what was done and who had done it. And what I mean by what was done, you couldn't tell any of the distinctive tactics that that particular artist used. It looks just like anyone else would have done it. The lesson that I learned out of it, you can't just brand things because you think that that's the way it is. You're going to be wrong every time. You need to understand. A person needs to know. If you don't know, say you don't know and move on and learn from it. I didn't know. I had to learn from it. I recommend that students take African American literature so we can understand who we are. I recommend that students take African American literature to understand art and understand the history and understand the vernacular that we as African Americans spoke once upon a time. Doesn't mean that we're illiterate. Doesn't mean any of that. Thank you so much and have a good day.